Hey, Scandalites and Says So Squad, y'all see my shirt? Upward is the motion. It's cute, ain't it? But listen, I do want to get serious with y'all for a moment. Sometimes in life, you can hit a bump in the road and you feel yourself sinking and falling and sometimes hitting rock bottom. Well, let me tell you something. It's physically impossible for you to go any lower when you're already at the bottom. Believe me, I know, because I've been there. And at that time, I knew I was going to climb up because, baby, I was at rock bottom. And upward is the motion. So I have had my shirt for a while. I got a big large because when I got my shirt, I was doing a lot of meditating, a lot of manifesting. But y'all don't have to get what I get. You can get leggings, sweatshirt. They got everything on the website. That website is called teespring.com/upward-motion. I'm gonna put the website in the description as well. Go ahead and click on it, guys, and get the shirt that's gonna lift you up to greatness, because baby, I got mine. I am done with my manifestation and meditation talk. This is Ashley with Ashley Says So, and I am back with another old Hollywood scandals video. And quite frankly, I couldn't find much on Flip Wilson, so this will definitely be more of a biography. But I do still want to say, I'm not sure what's true or false in this video. I am just here to take rumors and gossip online that I could find and tell you guys a story. Today we are going to talk about wonderful comedian Flip Wilson. Let's get to it. Cleroy Wilson Jr. was born in Jersey City, New Jersey. He was one of 10 children born to Cornelia Bullock as well as Cleroy Wilson Sr. Now I say 10 children, but other sources have claimed that he actually had about 17 brothers and sisters. So I'm not sure which one of those are true. Now his father, Cleroy Sr., worked as a handyman, but because of the Great Depression, a lot of times he was out of work. He did not have any money, so the family did not have any money. And I'm guessing his mother was like, I done had 10 to 18 children by you, and you ain't bringing home no money. I'm not sure what it was about, but what I do know is that she did leave the family when Flip was only 7 years old. After she left, his father was, of course, like, what am I gonna do with all these kids? I can't take care of all these kids. I can't even take care of myself. So he ended up putting a lot, if not all of his children in foster homes. And I did hear that Flip was not treated well in these foster homes. So by the time that he got to 16, he was done with it. He was ready to get away any way he could. So he enlisted in the military. And the way that he did this is when they asked him how old he was, he said he was 17. And they told him to come on in. And the actual branch of military that he joined was the Air Force. And when he joined, everybody loved him. The guy had tons of friends. Do you know why? It was because he was very funny, and he was one of those naturally funny folks. Y'all know them people that they don't really have to say nothing. They just be standing there, but they be looking kind of stupid a little bit, so you be laughing at them. You know, a lot of folks be saying that about me. I don't know why they think that, honey, but they do think I'm kind of funny just to look at. I don't even say anything. Flip was a lot like that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm as great as Flip Wilson, but y'all know what I'm talking about. People thought that about him, and he had tons of friends right from the get-go. Since he was so popular and had this attitude, that is also where he gained his nickname Flip, because he said at that time people used to call him flipped out. You know, and that's a little weird. I guess they were like, man, you funny, you flipped out, dude, or something. I don't know how they said it, but that is where he got his nickname. Now, rumor says that not only was Flip making everybody laugh in the military, his behind was also flipped out on drugs, because honey, he was smoking marijuana and he also was doing cocaine. Now they say that he never did heroin because he felt like heroin basically, you know, made him less funny. And I can see how that would happen, because heroin makes people drowse and droop, whereas cocaine make you all chirpy and blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? I ain't been on it, but you know, I know what drugs is. I'm grown, y'all. Now, as well as things were going in the military for Flip Wilson, he did get discharged in 1954, and he took a job as a bellhop in the Manor Plaza Hotel in San Francisco. And it's while he was working as a bellhop that somebody noticed that he was definitely a funny and talented guy. So they invited him to come and perform in the nightclub of the hotel. Basically what they wanted him to do is when groups were singing or acts were performing on stage, they would want him to wander in like a drunk, you know, lost, not knowing where he's at. Hey, what's going on here? You know, one of those routines, and the stunt went over very well with the audience. So soon, Flip started actually writing little bit parts for himself. And the more he developed this character, the more he performed it, not only at that hotel, but at nightclubs all around California. And his shows at these nightclubs did so well that he became an in-demand comedian, and he started touring with the Chitlin Circuit. So by this time, Flip's popularity is spreading. It is by no means as high as the heights that it's about to get to, but people still are starting to know who he is. And so, you know, women come walking through there, honey, and when that one woman, Patricia Lavinia Peaches Dean, came through swinging them hips, baby, Flip ain't know what to do. But what he did do is marry her in 1957. It was also around this time, though, that Flip starts to run into a little bit of adversity. Because, see, by the time the early 60s hit, he is still on this Chitlin Circuit, still touring. And he's seeing a lot of comedians, some that came behind him or some that started when he did. And he was just as funny as they were. And they were shooting up past him. I mean, just flying like stars. And it kept missing him. And he was wondering if his star would ever shine. And then he ended up becoming a regular at the Apollo Theater. And everybody knows back at that time, especially if you became a regular at the Apollo Theater, everybody was going to see you because that's where everybody was. So all of a sudden, people were seeing his shows every which way. Even some of the greats came to watch his show. And this was wonderful for Flip, and he enjoyed this. But still, though, at the end of the day, you know, who cares how big the people are that sit out there to watch you? It still ain't getting you nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Big time greats coming to watch you, and they laughing and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you going home to your little raggedy apartment. Ain't nobody doing nothing. So still, he was conflicted on the inside. That is until 1965. And what happened in 1965 is that comedian Red Fox, who was huge at this time, was a special guest on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. And Johnny Carson just so happened to ask him, who is the funniest comedian in your opinion? And Red Fox answered, Flip Wilson. And of course, you cannot have your favorite comedian here on the show and you ask your favorite comedian who his favorite comedian is and he says another guy? Yeah, we gotta get him on the show. So before you know it, boom, Flip Wilson was booked on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. When you get booked on one Tonight Show, you gotta get booked on all the Tonight Shows, honey. So soon, Flip Wilson was on the Ed Sullivan Show. And in between those two shows, Flip Wilson became a regular guest. People thought he was funny. They wanted to see more of him. But he actually said that it was the Ed Sullivan Show was the one that basically really boosted his career. Now, it is said that what made people gravitate towards Flip Wilson is that his personality was very warm, very welcoming. You know what I mean? Him and Richard Pryor, before they got on the outs with each other, okay? That's coming on later. But him and Richard Pryor were together, and Richard Pryor told him that, hey, man, you are the only comedian I know that when you go out on stage, the audience hopes you like them. Like the audience is trying to impress you. I've never seen that before. And with this popularity, Flip Wilson started to put out comedy albums. And it was one album called Cowboys and Colored People that featured a skit called Columbus that the whole world loved. I mean, it really, really gained him more followers and even more popularity. Everybody is celebrating the success. Everybody is happy. Everybody wants him to go further. But there's this one person who is definitely not happy with the change of events. And that is Miss Lavinia, because, you know, Flip has gotten just like most celebrities get when they get more popular. Child, more women start coming through, you know what I'm saying? He coming home later and later. He making up excuses why his lipstick on his collar. You know what I'm saying? He doing too much. And Miss Lavinia was not having it, honey. So she ended up leaving him the same year his album came out. And that was in 1967. But it was in 1970 when he released the album called The Devil Made Me Buy This Dress, is when he actually won a Grammy Award for that album. And what happens when you get a Grammy? When you get a Grammy, everybody jumps on your bandwagon. So soon he had his own comedy sketch show. It was called The Flip Wilson Show, and it debuted on NBC. And on that show, Flip did many sketches with many different characters, but there were two characters that really rose to the top. One of them was Pastor Leroy, and the other one was Hunty, Miss Geraldine Jones. And child, Miss Geraldine came prancing in on that stage, telling everybody about her boyfriend killer. Or when she tell the crowd, you know, what you see is what you get, honey. Everybody loved it, and it showed through the show's ratings. I mean, they were really through the roof. He was like the second highest rated show when he first came out. It was nominated for 11 Emmy Awards, and it actually won 2. And not only did the show win 2 Emmys, he also won a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Television Series. When it comes to his love life, Flip Wilson was sharing his success with a lady who is his common-law wife. Her name was Miss Blondell Pittman, and he got with Miss Blondell soon after he and his wife Lavinia divorced. In fact, he and Miss Blondell Pittman were doing so well together that they ended up having 4 children, although they remained unmarried. So Flip Wilson was doing quite well in his personal life, in his career, but unfortunately for him, dark days were ahead. You know what I'm saying? He was a little bit too successful. People get a little bit antsy when you're doing too much. You get what I'm saying? That's a lot of awards for one doggone man. That type of thing. So sooner or later, a group of people rise up and they have a problem, honey. They just can't stand the way Flip won't talk about race. You know what I'm saying? We got this stuff going on out here. Folks treating us any kind of way, but you're not saying nothing about race. But the thing is that nobody said anything until white people started to say that they enjoyed Flip Wilson's comedy because he didn't talk about race much. You know what I mean? They felt like, we don't have to be uncomfortable when we listen to him like we be uncomfortable when we listen to some of the other greats. That's basically what they said. So when they said that, black people were like, you know what I'm saying? He really don't talk about race. Like, you need to get more involved. And Flip basically answered this by saying, look, I'm out here to do comedy. I see what's happening. I'm a black man, but I am out here to do comedy. These other guys, these Richard Pryors, Bill Cosby's, people like that, that's how they made their career. Like, they did things like that. Bill Cosby, not so much, but definitely Richard Pryor made their career pretty much talking about race in comedy. Flip Wilson is saying, I never even started off like that. Like, that has never been my comedy. So now you guys want to jump on me, telling me that's the way I need to change and be? No, I'm just here to do comedy. And he basically said, like, I'm gonna keep doing my comedy. If race comes up in one of the skits, then so be it. But I'm not about to mold my comedy to be about race. And here's the thing about the race thing. Not only was it the black public, like people in the public that he didn't know, it was also fellow comedians. One of his most vocal critics was Richard Pryor. And basically, you ain't talking about race enough, you ain't doing this. But like, to me, that's a little bit too much. To me, Richard Pryor was definitely doing too doggone much. Because, sir, you need to be worried about what you got going on. That is what your comedy is about. It is hard for me to rewrite and rebuild my whole structure to accommodate you. And also, we're both comedians, so you know how hard it is to do this game. And for you to single me out, like, that kind of stuff just kind of bothers me personally. I understand that from the public. I get that totally. People can feel the way they want to feel, support what they want to support. If they don't want to support it, I get it. I just don't really get that from another comedian, or not just comedians, just any career where it's somebody that's doing exactly what you're doing and they know how hard it is, they know how hard you work, and they single you out to try to criticize you about something when it could easily be them. I've never got that kind of behavior. That's always bothered me. And like I said, that's a personal opinion, but I just had to get that out there. So because of all of this, Flip Wilson's show ratings started to drop. They started to drop majorly. And not only did the ratings dropping affect the show, it was also other shows started coming on, specifically the Waltons. When that show came out, the Flip Wilson show did not have a prayer. It did not matter how many celebrities he invited. Bobby Darin, Temptations, Supremes, whoever he got on there. I don't know if the Supremes came, but he invited a lot of people. Shy Lights, they was on there. But basically, didn't matter how many folks he invited on there. There was no prayer for him. And in 1974, the show was canceled. And when this show was canceled, it is rumored that the real side of Flip Wilson that he had been holding together by his success started to show. And this man used to rage against everybody. It did not matter if you were family or friends. Like, once he got in one of his rages or his anger, like, it would show. He didn't trust anybody. He imagined things in his head. And if you did give him a slight or you did do something to tick him off, baby, you better get out his way. Also, he was still smoking marijuana. He was still doing cocaine, and he was doing a lot of it. And now he was even drinking alcohol. And alcohol was kind of messing up his mind. I mean, Flip was doing some crazy stuff. He was even having his young son, a little bitty boy, rolling his joints for him. Like, just doing too much. With this type of behavior going on, his home life started to deteriorate. You know what I'm saying? Blondell didn't want nothing to do with this, so soon she left. And now that Blondell had left him, he had another problem to deal with. He now had to pay palimony. I didn't even know that this was a thing. I mean, I know about alimony. I had no idea about palimony. But apparently palimony is when you're basically shacking up or unmarried or common law married with somebody. You have to pay. That is not alimony. That is palimony. So he's having to deal with this too. That's a big chunk out of his bank account. And this, on top of what he's already going through, it is said caused a nervous breakdown. It was just too much for him and everything crumbled on his head at one time. Now, although Flip Wilson was going through all this and doing all this drugs and all this kind of stuff, the public did not know about it. So that was a little bit better for him. That is until March 1981 when he was arrested for possession of a small amount of cocaine. And of course, everybody had to put their 2 cents in on the situation, but thankfully, this was not the height of his career. You know what I'm saying? He had already gone through that, so it really didn't mess up anything for him. But they said the main thing that derailed Flip Wilson was the cancellation of the Flip Wilson show. Rumor says he basically took this as his failure. You know what I mean? He felt like he failed because his show got canceled. And because of this, because of the depression, because of the nervous breakdown, because of the money, because of everything, he basically pulled away. He kind of self-exiled himself. I mean, he did a few more projects. He did cameos in a couple of movies. But even when they gave him his own show again, CBS gave him his own show in 1985. It was called Charlie and Company. He still did not throw himself into that show 100%. You know what I'm saying? Or at least that's what rumor says. He never really gave his all again. And because of that, and I'm sure that's not the only reason, the show just really didn't take off. People weren't interested in it. But because of that, the show ended after 1 season. And after that show ended, I mean, he really just caved in. With the exception of appearances on Living Single and the Drew Carey show, Flip Wilson was really nowhere to be found. Now, rumor says it was because of the depression, the nervous breakdown, and all of that good stuff. But Flip Wilson said it was because he wanted to take care of his children. You see, he had gained full custody of his 4 children in 1979. Also in 1979, he ended up marrying again. And this lady's name was Tonchai Cookie McKenzie. And together they had 1 child, but they ended up getting divorced in 1984. So this child, along with his other children, he wanted to be with his children. So Flip kind of stayed to himself and taking care of his children. He stayed quiet as a mouse. Nobody really asked about him. He never really came out into public. You know, so everybody was surprised when he did pass away. And that was on November the 25th, 1998. He had liver cancer and he was 64 years old. And today, Flip Wilson is not really remembered at all. You know what I'm saying? People always talk about Cosby. Well, shoot, not in a good light no more, child. When they mention Cosby, everything bad. You hear me? But, you know, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, some of these other ones, people talk about them, but they rarely talk about Flip Wilson. It's almost like they forgot about him. Like they forgot that he was the first black man that had a comedy sketch show on primetime television. They don't remember that. And then one of the things that angers me is that when some people do bring him up, the only reason they bring him up is to say, oh yeah, you know, he started the black man wearing dresses. He started the black man wearing dresses. Oh, where? Where he start that at? First of all, Amos and Andy had been wearing dresses. And then also, I'm sick of that argument anyway, y'all. Ooh, child, I'm finna have to tell y'all a little bit. I am sick of that argument because people are out here acting like black men are the only men that have put on dresses, you know, to do comedy. They are not. And I get what Dave Chappelle said, and I respect that. You know what I'm saying? I respect that. But to me, that is Dave Chappelle's feelings, and everybody jumped on that bandwagon. I did not. Because it's not only black men that wear dresses. Men wearing dresses for laughs have been a part of comedy since Al Joseph. White men continue to wear dresses today in some of the comedy that they do, but nobody says anything about that. They don't have to pay, they don't have to explain, they don't have to feel bad for doing what they do to get laughs. Black men, on the other hand, oh baby, child, as soon as they put on the dress, everybody got something to say. And for what? And I get what the argument is. I see that people are saying, you know, oh, you know, they're trying to feminize black men and, you know, they're trying to make them less masculine. I'm sorry. They've been doing it since the beginning of comedy. But anyways, like I said, that is my personal opinion. And, you know, people can do what they want, feel how they want, have their own opinion. But besides that, that is one of the things that irk me, is that when people do bring up Flip Wilson, instead of seeing all of his achievements, they will look at the fact that he did dress as Geraldine Jones. He ain't the only one. This is the end of the old Hollywood scandalous tale for Flip Wilson. This is Ashley with Ashley Says So. Please go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, put your opinion in the comments, because honey, like I said, everybody ain't got to agree with me. I like to hear what y'all got to say too. I love you guys so much. I'll see you later.